What if the world's been lying to you about your worth? What if the scars you've buried, the pain you've wrestled, and the gifts you've hidden are the exact keys to unlocking a life of purpose and profit? Welcome to the Sigma Male community, where we strip away the noise and dive into the raw, unfiltered truth of what it means to live as an independent, self-reliant man. Today, we're tearing into something that'll shake you awake: how to turn your spiritual gifts into a thriving business, guided by the psychological genius of Carl Jung. This isn't about chasing trends or begging for approval. It's about claiming your power, mastering your mind, and building something real. We're unpacking 20 profound insights rooted in Jung's exploration of the psyche, insights that fuse the Sigma male's relentless drive with the deep, transformative wisdom of psychology. If you're done playing small, tired of waiting for permission, and ready to forge a path that's yours alone, stick with me. This is your wake-up call to stop doubting and start earning, mentally, spiritually, and financially. 1. Transformation. Cells, information stagnates. Carl Jung's plunge into the unconscious mind revealed a truth that hits hard. People don't change because of facts. They change because something stirs their soul. In a world drowning in data, the Sigma male rises above by offering transformation, not trivia. Jung saw the unconscious as a vast, untapped ocean of potential, and when you speak from your own journey, your battles won, your shadows faced, you tap into that same depth in others. It's not about reciting theories. It's about radiating the kind of energy that makes someone sit up and feel alive. People don't pay for manuals. They pay for the visceral shift you ignite, the moment they see their own chaos reflected in your clarity. This is psychological alchemy, where your authenticity becomes the gold others crave, bypassing their rational defenses and hitting them where decisions are truly made: the gut. For the Sigma male, this is about wielding your inner strength with precision. Carl Jung's collective unconscious ties us all to shared human experiences, fears, dreams, triumphs. When you embody your transformation, you're not just a man with a story. You're a living archetype resonating with that primal layer Jung mapped out. This isn't about fluff or hype. It's about showing up so real that others can't look away. Your value lies in the emotional control you've mastered and the unshakable presence you project. The world's starving for that kind of leadership, and it's willing to pay handsomely when you deliver it raw and unfiltered. 2. Your scars are your credentials. Carl Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong quest to become your true self, teaches that our wounds aren't accidents. They're the raw material of growth. For the Sigma male, those scars you've earned aren't flaws to hide. They're your psychological credentials, etched into your being by life's unrelenting forge. Jung argued that facing our pain head-on integrates the fragmented pieces of our psyche, making us whole. When you own that process, you don't need a diploma to prove your worth. Your resilience screams it. People trust the man who's walked through the fire, someone who's felt the weight of despair and clawed his way back, not the one who's never stumbled. Your scars are proof you've lived, not just theorized. And that's what commands respect in a culture obsessed with airbrushed illusions. This is where the Sigma mindset shines. You don't flinch from the past, you wield it. Carl Jung believed that denying our struggles traps us in a half-life, but embracing them sets us free. Your breakdowns, your late-night wrestles with doubt, they're not weaknesses. They're the battlegrounds where you forged your strength. Sharing that doesn't make you soft. It makes you a beacon for others still lost in their own dark. The Sigma male knows this psychological truth. Authenticity trumps perfection every time. When you stand tall with your scars unhidden, you give others permission to do the same, and that's a gift they'll pay to receive. 3. Archetypes. trump degrees. Carl Jung's theory of archetypes unveils a hidden power. Universal patterns like the healer, the rebel, or the sage live within us, waiting to be claimed. For the Sigma male, this means your authority doesn't come from a framed certificate. It flows from aligning with the archetype that pulses in your core. Jung saw these as energies in the collective unconscious, hardwired into humanity across time. When you step into yours, you don't need to prove anything. Your presence does the talking. A degree might list skills, but an archetype radiates truth, raw, instinctual, and undeniable. People don't follow paper. They follow the man who embodies something ancient and alive, something they feel before they can name it. The Sigma male leverages this psychological edge with quiet confidence. Carl Jung's work shows that archetypes speak to the unconscious, where trust and loyalty are born. You don't need a classroom to teach you how to guide, disrupt, or heal. You need the courage to live it. This isn't about acting a part. It's about becoming the energy others recognize on a soul level. The healer doesn't need a license when his words mend wounds. The rebel doesn't need approval when his defiance sparks change. For the Sigma, this is self-mastery in action. Knowing your power comes from within, not from a system's nod. That's the kind of leadership that earns devotion and dollars. Fourth, stop waiting for permission, become. Carl Jung's journey into self-realization hammers home a brutal truth. No one's coming to anoint you. The Sigma male gets this. Waiting for external validation is a trap that keeps you small. Jung taught that the psyche thrives when we take responsibility for our own growth, shedding society's scripts to claim our unique path. You don't need a boss, a title, or a pat on the back to start. You need the guts to declare your worth and act on it. The world's conditioned you to seek approval, but the Sigma breaks that chain, stepping into his role as creator, guide, or visionary with no apologies. That's psychological sovereignty, owning your mind and your mission. Carl Jung's individuation process is a call to action. Integrate your inner world, and the outer world bends to you. For the Sigma male, this means trusting your instincts over the crowd's chatter. You've got gifts, spiritual, intuitive, hard-won, that others need, and waiting for permission to share them is just fear masquerading as humility. Jung knew the unconscious craves leaders who dare to stand alone, not followers begging for a seat. When you crown yourself, you radiate a certainty that pulls others in. That's not arrogance. That's the calm, rational power of a man who's done the work and knows his value. The income follows when you stop asking and start being. 5. Resonance beats qualification. Carl Jung's work on synchronicity, the meaningful connections beyond logic, shows that we're drawn to what vibrates with our deepest selves. For the Sigma male, this is your edge. Resonance trumps a resume every time. Jung believed the unconscious drives our choices more than we admit, pulling us toward people who mirror our unspoken needs. You don't need a wall of degrees when your energy, your lived truth, hits someone like a tuning fork to their soul. They'll choose the guy who's faced his demons over the expert who's only read about them, because resonance feels like trust, safety, and possibility all at once. That's where the money flows, not to credentials, but to connection. The Sigma male wields this psychological law with finesse. Carl Jung's insights reveal that our minds seek patterns and meaning below the surface, and when you embody your journey, you become that pattern for others. It's not about impressing with facts. It's about reflecting their potential back to them. Your calm presence, your clarity born from struggle, your refusal to fake it. That's what resonates. Jung's unconscious isn't swayed by titles. It's moved by authenticity. When you show up real, you create a bond that no qualification can match, and that's the kind of value people invest in without hesitation. 6. Polished is poisonous. Presence is power. Carl Jung's concept of the persona, the mask we wear for the world, warns that too much polish disconnects us from our truth. The Sigma male sees through this. Perfection is a lie that erodes trust. Jung argued that clinging to a flawless image starves the psyche, while embracing our humanity fuels it. People don't want a glossy shell. They want a man who's real, flaws, grit, and all. Your power isn't in hiding your edges. It's in standing present, unguarded, and alive. That rawness isn't weakness. It's the psychological strength to be seen as you are, and it's what others crave in a sea of fakes. For the Sigma, this is about cutting through the noise with unshakable presence. Carl Jung's work shows that the unconscious detects inauthenticity like a predator smells fear. When you drop the act and show up fully, scars bared, voice steady, you create a space where others can breathe. This isn't about oversharing. It's about owning your story with quiet resolve. Jung knew that true influence comes from integration, not pretense. The Sigma male's strength lies in this. He doesn't perform. He exists. That presence, rooted in self-mastery, draws people in and keeps them there, ready to pay for the realness they can't find elsewhere. 7. Energy is your first sales pitch. Carl Jung's exploration of the unconscious mind proves that we communicate far beyond words. Our energy speaks first. For the Sigma male, this is your silent weapon. The vibe you carry either pulls people in or pushes them away. Jung saw the unconscious as a realm of subtle cues, where confidence, doubt, or shame ripple out before you even open your mouth. If you're radiating self-worth, grounded in your purpose, that frequency sells itself. But if you're leaking insecurity or guilt about your value, no slick pitch can mask it. Your energy is the psychological billboard others read instinctively. The Sigma male masters this by aligning his inner world. Carl Jung's shadow work, facing the hidden parts of ourselves, teaches that unresolved fears sabotage us silently. You can't fake certainty when your unconscious is at war. The Sigma does the work. He heals, he integrates, he stands tall. That calm, unshaken energy isn't just charisma. It's the product of a mind wrestled into clarity. Jung knew people are drawn to those who've tamed their chaos. When your energy says, "I know who I am," opportunities follow. That's the Sigma's edge. He doesn't chase, he attracts. 8. Lived experience is your license. Carl Jung's own breakdown and rebirth underscore a core truth. Life, not books, is the ultimate teacher. For the Sigma male, this means your journey. Every gut punch, every epiphany is your psychological license to lead. Carl Jung's individuation demanded he face his own depths, and that raw experience fueled his genius. You don't need a syllabus when you've navigated your own abyss. The lessons carved into your bones outweigh any textbook because they're real, tested in the crucible of existence. People don't buy theories. They buy the wisdom of someone who's been there and come back stronger. The Sigma male turns this into power with quiet authority. Carl Jung's process of becoming whole through experience mirrors the Sigma's path. He doesn't just survive, he thrives by owning every step. Your late nights questioning, your triumphs over doubt, they're not side notes, they're your doctorate in human struggle. Jung knew the psyche responds to authenticity over abstraction. When you share that lived truth, you're not preaching, you're proving. That's the Sigma's psychological leverage. His life is his credential, and it's one no institution can revoke. 9. Your pain is your portal. Carl Jung's shadow, the parts we bury, holds the key to our greatest gifts if we dare to look. For the Sigma male, this means your pain isn't a curse. It's a doorway to purpose. Jung believed that avoiding our darkness keeps us fractured, but embracing it makes us whole. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that moment you thought you'd break, It's not a liability. It's your initiation. When you integrate that pain, you unlock a depth others can feel, a wisdom they trust because it's forged, not borrowed. Your wounds, alchemized, become the medicine others need. The Sigma male doesn't run from this. He steps into it with resolve. Carl Jung's wounded healer archetype fits here. The one who's healed himself can guide others through their own night. Your pain connects you to the collective unconscious Jung mapped, a shared well of human struggle. When you own it, you're not just a man with a past, you're a psychological anchor for those still adrift. This isn't about wallowing, it's about transforming suffering into strength. The Sigma's power lies in this. He's walked the depths and returned, and that's a journey people will pay to follow. 10. The unconscious pays the bill. Carl Jung's unconscious mind isn't just a backdrop, it's the decision maker. For the Sigma male, this means your real client isn't the conscious skeptic. It's the deeper self that feels before it thinks. Jung's synchronicity showed how the unconscious pulls us toward what resonates, bypassing logic for instinct. You don't need to dazzle with stats. You need to strike a chord so true it compels action. People pay when their gut says, this is it, not when their head's convinced. Your job is to embody a frequency that wakes that inner voice. The Sigma male plays this psychological game masterfully. Carl Jung's work reveals that the unconscious craves meaning, not arguments. When you live your truth, unapologetic, aligned, it's like a signal flare to those ready for change. Jung saw this as the psyche's hunger for wholeness, and you feed it by being real. The Sigma doesn't hustle. He radiates, trusting that the right people will find him. That's the magic of Jung's insight. When you're in tune with your depths, the unconscious of others answers and brings the check. 11. Embody, don't perform. Carl Jung's archetypes aren't costumes. They're essences you step into. For the Sigma male, this means dropping the act and living your core truth. Healer, rebel, sage, whatever it is. Jung saw these as channels of power from the collective unconscious, not roles to play for applause. When you embody yours, there's no need to perform. Your presence carries the weight. People don't want a show. They want the real thing. A man so aligned with himself that he shifts the air. That's psychological gravity, and it pulls others in effortlessly. The Sigma male owns this with quiet intensity. Carl Jung's work shows that authenticity isn't loud. It's deep, a resonance that hits below the surface. You don't fake confidence when you've wrestled your psyche into alignment. It just is. Jung knew the unconscious spots a fraud instantly, but it bows to the real. The Sigma's strength isn't in pretending, it's in becoming. When you live your archetype, not just preach it, you become a force, unshakable, magnetic, and worth every penny others invest. 12. Every archetype earns. Carl Jung's archetypes aren't ranked. Each holds unique power. For the Sigma male, this means your gift, whether it's the healer's balm or the rebel's fire, has inherent value. Jung saw these as universal needs wired into the psyche. Guidance, disruption, creation, they all matter. The lie that only certain paths pay is a trap. Every archetype meets a hunger. The sage's wisdom, the creator's vision, the warrior's courage, they're not hobbies, they're currencies. When you own yours, you tap into a psychological demand that's timeless. The Sigma male doesn't shrink from this truth. Carl Jung's collective unconscious proves that people seek these energies instinctively. Your archetype is their answer. You don't need to fit a mold. You need to amplify what's already there. Jung knew the psyche pays for what moves it, not what's trendy. The Sigma's edge is his clarity. He knows his gift isn't optional. It's essential. That certainty, rooted in psychological reality, turns your archetype into income, because value recognized is value rewarded. 13. Your story is sacred, not secret. Carl Jung's personal myth concept frames your life as a sacred narrative, not a random mess. For the Sigma male, this means your journey, every fall, every rise, is holy ground. Jung believed that owning our story connects us to the collective unconscious, revealing universal truths through personal struggle. Hiding it dims your light. Sharing it ignites others. Your story isn't a liability to tuck away. It's a psychological map, showing others the way through their own chaos. That's not vulnerability. That's power, wielded with reverence. The Sigma male stands tall in this. Carl Jung's insight teaches that the psyche craves stories that mirror its depths, and yours does that when you treat it as sacred. You're not begging for pity. You're offering a testament to resilience. Jung saw this as the root of influence, a narrative so real it stirs the soul. The Sigma doesn't whisper his truth. He emits it, knowing it's a gift others need. That sacredness, your psychological bedrock, makes your story a commodity they'll pay to hear, because it's their story too. 14. Money, shame, sabotages everything. Carl Jung's shadow work exposes the hidden beliefs that choke us, like shame about money. For the Sigma male, this is a psychological saboteur. If you flinch at charging for your gifts, that guilt poisons your energy. Jung knew the unconscious broadcasts what we bury, and shame screams louder than confidence. You might think it's noble to undervalue yourself, but it's a lie, keeping you broke and ineffective. People feel that hesitation, and it repels them. Your worth isn't up for debate, it's a fact to claim. The Sigma male confronts this head-on. Carl Jung's integration process demands we face these shadows, and money shame is a big one. It's not greed to earn, it's survival, it's impact, it's honoring your psyche's call. Jung saw the unconscious as a judge of alignment. When you're ashamed, you're out of sync. The Sigma sheds that baggage, standing firm in his value. That shift, psychological and unapologetic, turns your gifts into a business, because confidence in your worth is what others trust and invest in. 15. Payment is a sacred exchange. Carl Jung's alchemical lens frames every exchange as transformative, money included. For the Sigma male, this means payment isn't grubby, it's a psychological pact. Jung saw value as energy in motion. When someone pays you, they're committing to their own growth, honoring your gift, and completing a circle. It's not about taking, it's about mutual elevation. Charging for your work sustains you to give more, creating a flow that's as spiritual as it is practical. That's the Sigma's clarity. Value given deserves value returned. The Sigma male lives this with integrity. Carl Jung's unconscious thrives on meaning, and payment carries it, proof of investment, not just transaction. Jung knew commitment deepens transformation, and money seals that bond. The Sigma doesn't shy from this. He embraces it as a sacred act, knowing it empowers both sides. Your gift isn't free, it's priceless, and charging reflects that truth. This psychological shift turns your business into a cycle of abundance, rooted in respect for what you bring. 16. Earning is divine, not dirty. Carl Jung's self, the whole, integrated you, demands alignment with your highest purpose. For the Sigma male, this means earning from your gifts isn't base, it's divine. Jung saw the psyche as a sacred system, and denying your material needs fractures it. When you profit from your purpose, you're affirming your worth and fueling your mission. It's not about excess, it's about resources to amplify your light. The Sigma knows this. Money isn't separate from spirit. It's a tool for both. The Sigma male anchors this in psychological truth. Carl Jung's work shows that wholeness includes the practical, Starving for your art isn't noble, it's neglect. Jung believed the unconscious rewards alignment, and earning does that. It says you value your gift enough to sustain it. The Sigma stands in this power, unapologetic and clear. Charging isn't dirty. It's a declaration of your divine right to thrive. That certainty, born from Jung's insights, builds a business that's both soulful and solvent. 17. Stop editing, start emitting. Carl Jung's persona warns against hiding your true self, and editing your truth is the same trap. For the Sigma male, this means ditching the filter. Your raw, unpolished voice is your strength. Jung knew the psyche recoils from fakery, but leans into authenticity. Softening your edges to fit in dilutes your signal. Emitting your full frequency cuts through. People don't pay for safe. They pay for real, for the jolt of recognition when you speak what they feel. That's psychological courage, and it's magnetic. The Sigma male owns his uniqueness with resolve. Carl Jung's individuation calls for embracing your quirks, not sanding them down. Your story, your fire, your weirdness, it's what sets you apart in a beige world. Jung saw the unconscious as a seeker of truth, and when you emit yours, it finds you. The Sigma doesn't tweak for approval. He broadcasts his essence, knowing it's the key to connection. That unfiltered power, psychological and primal, turns your gifts into a business others can't ignore. 18. You are the mirror. Carl Jung's projection theory shows we see ourselves in others, what we deny or crave. For the Sigma male, this means you're not a guru. You're a mirror reflecting potential. Jung believed the psyche grows by recognizing itself, and when you embody your integrated self, flaws and all, you show others what's possible. You don't preach, you stand as proof. People pay not for perfection, but for the psychological spark of seeing their own power in you. That's influence at its deepest. The Sigma male wields this with quiet strength. Carl Jung's individuation is about becoming whole, and your wholeness inspires others to start. Jung knew the unconscious seeks models, not mandates. When you live your truth, scars bared, gifts blazing, you're a psychological catalyst. The Sigma doesn't posture, he reflects, letting others find themselves in his clarity. That's the value they invest in. Not your ego, but their awakening, mirrored through a man who's mastered his own. 19. The wounded ego blocks worth. Carl Jung's ego shadow dynamic reveals how self-doubt cripples us. For the Sigma male, that whisper, "Who am I to charge?" is the wounded ego talking, not truth. Jung saw the ego as a gatekeeper. Unhealed, it locks you in fear. Integrated, it frees you to act. That nagging unworthiness isn't modesty. It's a psychological block, leaking into your energy and shrinking your impact. People feel it when you don't believe in yourself, and they walk away. Your worth isn't negotiable. It's your birthright to claim. The Sigma male faces this head-on. Carl Jung's work demands we wrestle the ego into alignment, and the Sigma does, shedding doubt for certainty. Jung knew the unconscious mirrors our self-belief. Doubt repels, confidence attracts. The Sigma's strength is this psychological shift. He heals that wound, stands firm, and charges accordingly. It's not arrogance, it's clarity born from inner work. When you know your value, others do too, and that's the foundation of a business that thrives. 20. The unlived life is the real danger. Carl Jung's warning about the unlived life cuts deep. Playing small is the true risk. For the Sigma male, this means hiding your gifts isn't safe. It's a psychological betrayal. Jung saw the unlived life as a slow death, draining the psyche and the world of your potential. When you deny your archetype, you don't just cheat yourself. You rob others of the healing, the fire, the clarity you could bring. Living fully isn't reckless. It's the only rational choice. The Sigma steps up, knowing his purpose is bigger than fear. The Sigma male embodies this with fierce resolve. Carl Jung's collective unconscious thrives when we live our truth, sparking a chain reaction of growth. Jung believed each of us shapes humanity by daring to be ourselves. The Sigma doesn't shrink. He rises, turning his gifts into a business that's both personal victory and collective gift. That's the psychological stakes. An unlived life numbs us all, but a lived one transforms. The Sigma chooses transformation every time, and the world pays for that courage. Thanks for diving into this psychological deep end with me at the Sigma male community. Carl Jung's wisdom isn't just theory. It's a roadmap for turning your spiritual gifts into a business that's as real as you are. Take a beat to sit with this. Which of these 20 points hit you hardest? Where can you step up, claim your worth, and start building? The Sigma male community is your anchor, here to guide you as you master your mind, harness your gifts, and carve a life of independence and impact. If this resonated, don't just nod and move on. Reflect, act, and subscribe for more. We're in this together, forging paths of purpose and strength. Until next time, live your truth and never settle for less than you're capable of.